As someone that's lived in Fort Collins since 1980, I've seen us grow as a community where we need to address now the problem we have with traffic and congestion. And one of the solutions to that problem, I think, can be mass transit. And now we need to address that more than ever because of the population explosion that we're having here along the Front Range, and particularly in Fort Collins.
If there's snow on the ground or rain coming down, people want a way to get out of that while they wait for their bus.
The biggest comfort issue that we had was with protection from the elements, but the added bonus that no one ever seems to really talk about to us was the ADA accessibility. It made it very easy for our buses to load and unload passengers.
I think if we want to make a positive impact on bus ridership, then we're going to have to address the bus stop. And up till now, we've just had a bench there. But in order to encourage more people to use mass transit, we've got to provide more amenities for them.
I think that the ridership will increase if we have good bus shelters out there that make people feel more comfortable with the infrastructure that they're standing in as they wait for buses, especially given that we get snow here, and on occasion we even get a little rain here in Colorado, and people are looking for a comfortable setting to wait for their buses.
I founded the company with a contract in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we began initially with bus benches, and then over the years began to look at other needs that exist at bus stops. They range from newspaper corrals to visually contain the newspaper stands that are becoming more prevalent at the bus stops, to a secure place out of the weather, to bicycle bollards or racks, to bike lockers where people can ride their bike to the bus stop, incorporating more of the multimodal bus stop, to call boxes to alert security or police that there's a problem at a bus stop. Illumination is another one that you can provide. All those can be addressed through a private relationship because it's funded through private funds rather than depending on the general fund.
On Highlands Ranch earlier this year we started a circulator bus system in Highlands Ranch, and with that the whole issue of mass transit became much more to the forefront within the community. And as such, we started receiving requests for amenities at the bus stops, such as bus stops, trash cans, and shelters. So at that point we felt that as a planned community we needed to look at this as a comprehensive format and not just start to put one here and put one there.
The city first looked into bus stops because of the Foxtrot. We personally, Colt Transit, we started looking into shelters when we started designing the routes themselves. What was in place was, I've looked all over the country at different bus shelters because I've been in the business for a while, and what was in place was superior to anything I've seen in terms of durability and some other factors, ease of maintenance, those things. So it was a pretty easy decision for us to go with the shelters that were already in place when we started the transit expansion.
I think having the shelters and having that truly a unified look along the corridors has been a major benefit.
I think consistency of service is very important to us, and as such we've looked at some of the other communities, and they're very satisfied with the quality of service being provided.
Our program, we address a number of things when we actually go out and visit a shelter in our maintenance visits. We do those on a regular scheduled maintenance program. We visit the shelter every week, and when we're there we police the area, pick up any trash that's around the bus shelter, empty the trash receptacle that's there. We remove snow once we get accumulation of 5 inches. We power wash the structure and the concrete area around the shelter, and check any of the parts that are on the shelter that might be damaged that we can replace. We take care of graffiti removal, touch up paint. All those steps are performed every time we visit a bus shelter.
My observation is that the private vendors are out there and that the trash receptacles are always clean, and that just in general the private shelters are a much cleaner facility. And from what I understand, they're out there much more frequently than RTD is capable of being out there.
When we decided to go with outdoor promotions on the shelters, we didn't really have any maintenance concerns because I had some experience with transport and with the track record there, and then I took a look at the maintenance records that we had internally in Loveland when I first got on board, and everything seemed to be, I mean, really you didn't need to look at the records. You could just drive the route and take a look at the stops, and they really speak for themselves.
The maintenance on the shelters has always been provided in a very timely manner. If there are shelters that end up with more trash than other shelters, Outdoor Promotions has been very accommodating to making a special trip to pick up trash at those locations.
All these items can be provided for the riders through a privately provided shelter program that's funded from advertising on the bus shelter. So as a result of that, we're very conscious of the content of advertising that's in the shelters, and our company policy is that we don't allow tobacco, alcohol, anything that's sexually explicit, and a few other items that we feel it's in the public's best interest not to have those types of ads in the bus shelters. We fax some of the cities the copy of the ad before it actually goes out on the street. We want to make sure that they're happy with it and that there's no problem, so we give them the opportunity to review it before it ever goes out on the street. And if they're not happy with it, then we don't put it out.
We have had a good experience with the review of the content of the ads. We do have a rather family-oriented community, and that's one of the reasons this was such a big issue for us. The amendments were restricted only to the shelter program, and we were very careful that we didn't open up any other unanticipated loopholes or other aspects of the code that would cause us problems on down the line. We ended up with, I think, a very high degree of control over the shelters and the content.
We can come in and provide all the amenities necessary to make the bus stop safe, convenient, and comfortable for a bus rider. And on top of that, all of that being paid for through the program, we actually provide funding and share revenue from the advertising dollars that are generated from the bus shelter back to either the transit system or into the general fund of the city.
I think that this type of a program is a can't-miss program. First of all, you're meeting your consumer needs. You've got the shelters in place, so you've got the ADA accessibility. Second of all, you've got the revenue coming in, and third of all, it doesn't cost you anything. So it's a strictly can't-miss situation. As a transit operator, I can't see why you would not want to go with this type of an arrangement.